All right, we are live. How's it going, guys? Anybody out there yet? Anybody hear me? Just making sure you guys can all hear me before we get going with the stream here. All right, let's get everybody joining in. I see there's a few people watching. All right, awesome. So who's out fishing right now? Anybody out fishing? There's a pretty good crowd out there. Of course, we've got the Brawl going on as we speak, so there's a lot of people fishing for that. Looking forward to seeing the results of that later this afternoon. So you'll have to tune back in about 1 o'clock, and you'll start seeing the weigh-in. We'll have that live, of course, as usual. So should be a pretty fun day. How's it going, Mo? Fishcraft? Brian? Morning, guys. Let's hear some of your fishing reports. Who's been out this morning or this week? It's been a pretty interesting week out there. A lot of cold water, a lot of moving water. Good to see you, Stanley. All sorts of stuff going on. Shallow fish, some super deep fish, some fish in between. Been a pretty interesting week. Let's see. Michael, I think he's doing pretty good. It's keeping him busy, that's for sure. Definitely keeping him busy. All right. So, well, you guys have any questions, any fishing reports? Who's been out fishing this week? Anybody? Can you catch them on the pier heads? I would say so. I'm not hearing about too much down in Illinois from shore, although I think you can definitely get in some browns off of Waukegan. There's been some pretty nice fish caught down there. But I think if you want to catch some kings from shore, you're better off going to Milwaukee and Port Washington and those areas. I haven't had any firsthand reports from up there yet, but I think you have a pretty legit shot at catching some nice fish up there. I would definitely give it a shot. Let's see. Fishcraft says, was out 3 times last week, landed kings every time, but lost a lot. That current was ripping 80 to 100 feet. Was good for me. Lots of angry kings out there. There was a lot of current out there today. That's for sure. It's kind of been the common theme this week. We had all those south winds, and it really got the water churned up. All right. Fishing is good north of Ludington right now. 2 for 3 yesterday and 3 for 5 this morning. All kings. 11-inch white pro troll has been hot. McLovin 121 line on the counter with a wire diver. Took one awesome. Also awesome. All right. Hoping to head out tonight. What's your best setup? Well, today was kind of tough. We'll get into what my best setup for today, but we didn't do all that great. But I'll kind of save that towards the end. Let's see. Matthew Paul says, morning, Rob. I have in port 18-pounder and a bunch of 15 to 12-pounders. That's awesome. That's good to hear. Water temps drop significantly north of Sheboygan. Yeah, there's a lot of cold water on our side of the lake right now. Let's see. A lot being caught in 2 rivers. It's awesome. Good fishing all over the west side of the lake. Poor report from Door County for walleye. Was there Tuesday and Wednesday. You know, I haven't heard too many good reports for up there of walleye fishing, Green Bay in general, although one person started telling me they were doing good this past week. But overall, I don't get a ton of reports for up there, but I haven't heard a whole lot of good things lately. Kings out of Muskegon Thursday night. Awesome. I haven't been out pier fishing. Water seems to be a bit warm on the South Indiana side of the lake. Yeah, I would imagine so. It's pretty tough to get cold water down to Indiana sometimes. Donated a couple plugs I won at the store to Unknown Big Fish off of 2 Colors, College area, south of Port. Yeah. Those plug bites can be vicious. You definitely lose a lot of plugs. In fact, like when I first started kayak fishing, most of the plugs that I had in my inventory were just ones I found floating around out in the lake. Anyone know if the floods affected the bite in Milwaukee? I know the fishing's been good in Milwaukee, but there's also a lot of debris to contend with out there, so you got to be really careful. Definitely don't go full speed heading out there. All right, I got 14 kings yesterday and one catfish of all things. You know, that's the third catfish I've heard of in the last 2 days. So maybe it's time to start putting some sunny stink bait on our lures and start targeting catfish out there. All right, best beginner tips for vertical jigging. You know, for me personally, when I vertical jig, I'm very impatient. So I won't really jig unless I'm marking fish that look like kings. Um, and then I'll sit on top of them or cast towards them, either one. But if I'm not marking a good pot of fish to sit on top of and jig, I'm just not wasting my time. I think that's the biggest tip. Went 3 for 6 yesterday morning. Awesome. Out of North Point this morning and got a sheephead. Ooh. All right. I'm headed catfishing at the Oak Creek Power Plant as we speak. That's awesome. Um, Sometimes we forget about all the other species that are in Lake Michigan to take advantage of, and catfish is definitely one of them. Um, they're not everywhere out there, but you'd be surprised. You know, most of the catfish that I've heard of caught by salmon fishermen were actually like well out past 200 feet of water, just suspended. I've heard of them caught on J plugs and spoons, on long coppers and lead core. Just the last thing you would think a catfish would bite. All right. Well, let's get into some of the stuff going on at the store here. Obviously, right now, everyone's fishing the Brawl. We had 28 boats for that. It's going to be a pretty good day. We've got really good payouts. So I think first place is over $3,000, and it goes down from there. It's been a pretty interesting week. So the fishermen are kind of going all over the place. A lot of people changing ports at the last minute, heading south, and some heading north. There were a lot of brown trout. So it's been pretty interesting. What kind of rod can you recommend for a 8-ounce torpedo? You know what? My favorite rod for kayak fishing with a torpedo is actually the 7-foot medium heavy Ugly Stick GX2. You can't go wrong with it. It's inexpensive, and it's a great action for running the big heavy weights. So, all right, let's see what came in this week. We actually just got in an order of jigging spoons. So we've got the P-Line laser minnows. There's a whole bunch of different colors. I just grabbed a few here, but of course we've got the Glow Wonder Bread, and we've got the Glow Green Tiger, and we've got the Clown, the Orange and Silver. 3 of the top ones right there. We have them 3/4, 1 ounce, and 2 ounce. They're all available online. So if you need your jigging spoons, we got in a bunch of Kale Wobblers this week. Of course, we've got the Moonshine casting spoons. We also got in more of the Reef Runner, the Moonshine Series Reef Runners, along with more Lucky Larrys, because you can never have too many Lucky Larrys. So if you need any of that stuff, because those fish, they're starting to stage a little bit, now is the time to get that stuff. What else did I pull up? Oh, for the kayakers out there, we did get in more of the kayak nets, the custom kayak nets. So if you need a net for your kayak, nice short handle, heavy duty net, this is the one. This is what I use. It's nice, deep. It fits big fish. You can have it hang over the side of the kayak. Keep the fish in the water if you want. But it's a nice short handle, but just long enough that you can deal with a leader. Just an overall good net, and of course it's rubberized, hook-free netting. So if you need a new kayak net, we've got them. And I also have some shore nets on the way as well, 17-foot handled nets. So those will probably be another week or so, but we've got those on the way for the shore fishermen. We also got in a bunch of Okuma SST spinning rods here. So this one right here is the 9-foot medium. That's my most popular rod for casting from shore. I also have them. I have 7.5s, 8.5s, and medium heavy. The 9 medium, I have 9.5 from medium light and mediums. And I also have 10.5 mediums and medium lights. Also have a few of the Shimano Techniums, and of course some of the Okuma GLS customs as well. Chevy guy says cold water moved into Milwaukee and 0 fleas. Fish were very scattered on Thursday. Yeah, we always look forward to the cold water coming in because you can get it to fish closer to shore, but it also scatters them because now the fish can be anywhere. So if you look back like 2 weeks ago, we had all that stacked up warm water. it kind of stinks because you got to catch the fish so deep. But as long as you can get your baits down deep, you know all the fish are down there. You can just put all your baits down near the bottom, and then you're going to catch fish. It kind of takes some of the thinking out of it and some of the experimenting out of it. You just know to put your baits down near the bottom. Today, you know, we had cold water all over the place. You could catch fish on 350 coppers. You could catch fish on a 5-color, and you can catch fish on anything in between. So sometimes that actually makes it more difficult when we get cold water. So what else came in? Oh, yeah. So we actually just got in some stubbies. So those of you that are looking for cohos, and there are cohos out there, we got in more of the nuclear ladybug, the reverse clown, and then also the double O's and reverse clown, more of the Wonder Bread, and of course the chrome Frankenstein here. We got in more of those. I do need to update the counts on those online. So if you're looking to order them, it'll probably be maybe today if I get a chance. Otherwise, Monday, Tuesday, I'll get the inventory updated on those if you guys want to order them. And then the other thing is a lot of the fish we're catching are starting to have some pretty good eggs in them. We didn't really see that until about a week ago, like good eggs, big eggs. So I did get in some of the Pro Cure Last Supper right here. This is one of my favorite cures for eggs. We've got the natural and then the neon orange here. We also have the Atlas Shaken Cure. We've got the Potski Brexa Fire. We've got Fire Cure. We've got some other Pro Cures. But now is a good time to cure eggs. If you have any questions about curing eggs, feel free to ask. But one thing for sure is when you get that fish, if it's got eggs in it, bleed it and cure the eggs as soon as possible. It doesn't have to be on the boat if you're fishing out in a boat, but when you get home, you know, don't wait till tomorrow or the next day. Just get those eggs cured as fast as you can, and then you're going to have a good quality egg just following the directions that's on the jar here. And then if you want to experiment after that, go ahead. But you can't go wrong with any of those, really. All right. What else we got? We'll just get into the fish report, I think. This morning, Phil and I fished. We didn't do too hot. It was a little bit of a struggle at first. We heard great reports from some of the other boats we were talking to out there. We just didn't land on them. So we didn't get a bite for like the first hour. We started in the mid 50s, kind of inside the hill a little bit, and worked our way out. And we were marking fish right away. We were marking bait. The screens looked great, but we just weren't getting bites for quite a while. We ended up getting a couple of short ones that we lost. And then once the sun was up, I don't think we had a good fish on until a little after 5:15 or so. And then we got a couple of really nice kings. The biggest being the one in the thumbnail picture for this video. Lost another king, and then not long before we pulled lines to come in, we pulled lines about 20 to 8. We doubled up there, so we ended up 4 or 5 for like 7. It wasn't great. Now we talked to people that did much better than us, so we worked our way out to the 90s, and that's really where our good bites came from. And then, you know, at one point we looked around while we had fish on. Every boat around us had fish on. So at that point in time, by the time we pulled lines, we were hearing a lot of catches that were into the double digits, like 10, 11, 12 fish. So pretty good. Phil and I just didn't have wasn't our day out there. We just didn't set on them right for whatever reason. But overall, it was pretty good fishing from the people we talked to. What worked for us? The Alien Breath on a 350 copper took a couple. I had Wire Diver out with White Pro Troll and the Munda Glow Frog. That one was good. That had a couple bites. We had what else got bit? 300 copper got bit, but I don't remember what the spoon was on that. But listening on the radio, some guys are catching fish on 5 colors. I heard people catch fish in 35 feet of water, 45 feet of water. There's also a really good bite out deep. You know, if you're going to 200 plus, there's a lot of steelhead. There's a lot of cohos out there, some kings, of course, some lake trout. And it's a little bit different fishing out there. So that's when, you know, the guys going out there are starting to put the stubbies back in the water. You know, we're not really doing that fishing in close because we're really more focused on the kings. And that's really what's mostly in that shallower water, with the exception of also some browns. So we've seen some really nice browns the last couple of days. In fact, I know there's guys targeting browns for the Brawl today, and that's pretty much 40 feet of water and in. So also a good time to try catching browns from shore when they're in that close. There's just like I said, there's a lot of cold water. When we first started fishing, that break was down. When we were in the 50s, about halfway down, and then uh, as we get out deeper, it was down like in the 50s. So when we got out to the 90s, that thermocline was anywhere from like 40 to 50 down. And that's where our bites came, for anywhere from like 40 to 70 down. So, but yeah, good fish. We had good fish. I mean, it still wasn't a bad morning. We landed 5 in a couple hours, so I can't really complain about that. But this wasn't as good as some of the other guys that we talked to out there. Let's see. Brian says, what's the go-to start depth for us new guys? More spoons or flies still going? Today it was kind of half and half for spoons and flies, but overall lately spoons have been better. That being said, I'm always putting flies in the water because those flashers will bring fish into the spread. And like today, we ended up catching fish on those flies. So even though spoons have been better lately, flies are just as good today. As far as the starting depth goes, I guess it kind of depends on where you're fishing out of. When you're fishing out of North Point here or Waukegan or Kenosha or Racine, a lot of times just starting in like 70 feet of water is a really good starting point. If you have no idea what's been going on out there, if you have no fishing reports, there's always some sort of fish on that drop right there on that edge of the hill. And if they're not there, it doesn't take long to get deeper. So for me, that's usually where I'm going to start if I have no idea what's been going on lately. Any feeling on a rough idea when kings start heading into the harbors? I'm sure there are some right now. We've got cold enough water. We've had the rain, especially further north from here. I guarantee you that there's some fish in the harbors. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a few kings that have made their way up the river in the root. The run is definitely not full swing yet, but we're not too far away. It wouldn't be unusual to catch some kings from shore. I know some have been caught already. All right. How much that rod costs and no one the SSTs go for 114. I think that's the best rod you can get for the money. That's the best $100 rod you can buy for casting. You just can't go wrong with it at all. Nice and light, good feel. It's got a carbon grip on it. It's pretty good setup. I like to set it up, like match it up with a Okuma Seamar HD or a Daiwa Fuego, two of my favorite reels. Either one of those are pretty good matchup for it, like a 3,000 or 4,000 size. And if I'm casting for kings, I'm usually putting 15-pound braid on there with a leader. But yeah, that's a really nice rod. They're available online right now if you want to order them, or of course you can stop in the store and check them out. But I highly recommend it. Coming from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, doing a fishing trip on Labor Day weekend. Where should we go? Well, Labor Day weekend is, a couple weeks away. I don't know. I don't know exactly what the conditions will be by then, but for our area here, Kenosha, Racine, Milwaukee, Port Washington are all solid bets. As far as we just don't know which one is going to be best at that time. But we'll find out. Labor Day weekend's always been one of my favorite weekends for targeting kings from shore, stagers like that. Lex says not many in the harbor, but there's see a few caught out of Racine. Yeah, I'm sure there's some fish around. Like I said, it's not full swing yet, but we've had the conditions to bring them in. I know that the river up there was flowing pretty good. Some fish are going to go up a little early. Some fish are going to stay out in front. The main thing with fishing for stagers, especially if you're from shore, like really if you're from shore, like the biggest tip you can have to catch those fish is just to have patience and perseverance. It's a waiting game. The more casts you put in, you're going to get rewarded at some point. It's just about being there at the right time. More so than anything, really. So when you're fishing from shore, definitely it's just putting in your time and being patient, and you'll get those fish. but it's definitely not a waste of time to try now for sure. So give it a shot out there. See what others. Oh, King Week. We will be doing King Week. It's going to start on September 6th. King Week is our shore kayak boat tournament. We do the biggest fish of the week and your top 5 cumulative for the week. So yeah, that's going to be starting September 6th. It's going to go through the following Sunday. So like a week and a day. That's how long it's going to go. Payouts are just based on entries. It's $50 for each category. You're going to be in a kayak division or boat division or shore division. So if you're from shore, you're not necessarily competing against boat guys, but yeah, it'll be that's going to go on the 6th. I'll post some stuff on Facebook about that. We're also doing it in conjunction with the Great Lakes Kayak Fishing Series kayak tournament, which is going to be on the 6th as well. So if you want to get in a kayak tournament, check out the Great Lakes Kayak Fishing Series on Facebook, and you get more information on there. All right. Need to replace a rigger reel. Going to call you after live. Awesome. Look forward to talking to you, Brian. I'm probably going to wind it up unless anybody has a few more quick questions here. Season's about to change with big fall winds. Get a wind app and make sure forecast looks safe. Absolutely. I think I see some. Well, I didn't look at the forecast real hard, but I think there's some north winds coming up next week. So we'll see what happens. But typically, as we get later into summer like this, those north winds start pushing our way. That's for sure. But yeah, kind of last chance for questions. Otherwise, I'm going to start wrapping it up. And again, about 1 o'clock, we're going to be live again today with the weigh-in for the Big Pond Brawl. I have a feeling there's going to be some big weights in there, I think. And I haven't talked to too many people out there, just a few, but I think we're going to see 70 pounds or so to take first place. So it should be interesting. And, of course, that's on 5 fish. So let's see. All right, Stanley. Good job, Rob. Thank you. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'm going to let you go and get back to work here. And one more announcement. I'm sorry. Starting next week, I'm going to do these a little earlier, probably around 8:45, so that I can start doing it before people start coming in the store. So that's it. Yeah, figure, 8:40, 8:45 is when I'm going to start doing the lives from now on. So that's it. You guys have a good weekend and good luck fishing.